Let's move on to our second main topic today. And our second feature topic today gets sent in to us by Dustin Crawford. And Dustin Crawford writes, Mad Max Fury Road prequel focusing on Furiosa has started to add some big names to its cast. Not only is Anya Taylor-Joy starring as a young Furiosa, which was rumored some months back, but Chris Hemsworth and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II have also come aboard. Boom, Black Manta callback. There are a few character details, but nothing major. Hemsworth will reportedly be playing the scar-faced Dementus, which, if I were going on names and villainous clichés, sounds like an antagonist. What are your thoughts? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yes, it was during the John Campea show yesterday that Rob broke in and said, guys, breaking news. They're greenlit the Fury. Now, actually, apparently it's not officially greenlit, but it's just now at that stage right before the official green light that this is going to be happening. This comes to us from the good folks over at the Hollywood Reporter, who writes, Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II will star in Furiosa, a standalone action-adventure feature that acts as an origin story for the powerful character first embodied by Charlize Theron in Miller's Oscar-winning 2015 movie, the studio announced on Tuesday. Miller will direct, co-write, and produce the project, working with longtime producing partner Doug Mitchell and their Australia-based Kennedy Miller Mitchell banner. Say that 10 times fast. So there we go. We heard about it. We talked about it a while ago, that they were going to be doing a Furiosa, that George Miller was eyeing doing a Furiosa origin movie. But then some heads got turned maybe about 2 months ago, something like that, when word came out that they were looking at casting somebody else other than Charlize Theron to play Furiosa, because they were going to do a Furiosa origin story, a younger version of Furiosa. That did two things. Number one, it excited a bunch of people, because Mad Max was a beloved film. That Mad Max Fury Road movie was a beloved film.
Oh, it's so good.
And it was beautiful and gorgeous and all that kind of stuff. And everybody loved the Furiosa character. Everybody loved the Furiosa character. But at the same time, it created a little bit of division, because to a lot of people, it's like, if it's not Charlize Theron, I'm not in. I'm not on board if it's not Charlize Theron playing Furiosa. To which I would get and I would understand if they were doing a sequel and they just decided they didn't want Charlize Theron playing it anymore. But if the story that George Miller has in his head and the story that he wants to tell is one that happens 20 years previously, you can't really do it with Charlize Theron. You've got to kind of go with another performer. And if that's the story George wants to tell, and it all needs to start with the story, if that's the story he wants to tell, Rob, then I'm okay with it. Anya Taylor-Joy has also been really good. Like, I really enjoyed her in The Split, and, I thought she was great in that. Even though her character wasn't great, I enjoyed her in New Mutants. I've actually enjoyed her in just about everything I've seen her in. I don't think she's Oscar caliber or anything quite yet, but I enjoy her. You add on top of that, Mateen II, you add on top of that Hemsworth. This could be really fun. My encouragement to my fellow film fans is don't be closed-minded. Don't instantly turn off the switch just because it's not going to be Charlize Theron. It's a different story. It's a new story. George Miller's earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to this Mad Max world. I think people should give it a shot. I think this is interesting news. Rob, listen, if I could have been given the choice, snap my fingers, John, would you prefer to have a Furiosa sequel with Charlize Theron or a prequel with somebody else? I would have chosen sequel with Charlize Theron, sure. But that doesn't mean I'm not open-minded to this other one, and it's George Miller. So, hey, if he's came up with the story, kudos. Rob, you heard about this. Where do you fall closer in the side there? Excited about it or kind of disappointed that it's not Charlize?
Well, first of all, I love George Miller as a filmmaker. I think he's one of the most terrific filmmakers working today, and he hasn't made nearly enough movies. So anything that George Miller is going to make, I'm behind 100%. If you haven't seen his movie Lorenzo's Oil, which is maybe not in everyone's wheelhouse, but what a fantastic movie that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. But I can't wait to see this. I mean, another action movie. First of all, I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I thought she was one of the best things about New Mutants. I loved her in The Witch. I think she's shaping up to be, she's young. I think she's got a long, long career ahead of her. I think she's perfect casting for the role. But I was thinking about it. They could do like sort of a King Conan thing where they could bring Charlize Theron back and maybe use her in a framing story, or Godfather to it. Go back and forth between time periods, because first of all, I love Charlize Theron and I loved her as Furiosa. And while I'll watch a prequel movie if that she's a young person. Why wouldn't I? So this will be the Solo of the Mad Max franchise, I guess. But I'm really excited about this. I can't wait for it.
By the way, you see that graphic Ray made there, putting Anya Taylor-Joy on Charlize?
Oh yeah, I think that's amazing. That's amazing.
Well,
And I think she's going to be great, and I always trust in George Miller. People were pissed off that Mel Gibson didn't come back for Fury Road. I'm like, how do you make a Fury Road movie without Mel Gibson? You know what? Didn't bother me. As a matter of fact, when I watched that movie, I didn't even see the character as being the same Mad Max. It was just a different guy. And I loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. And The Road Warrior is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I think we as film fans, and I know I've been guilty of this just as much, we as film fans will often go, if you don't do it this way, then you don't exist to me. It's like, well, give the movie a chance. I mean,
right.
Again, it's not like George Miller has been shitting the bed for the last 20 years. I mean, he's been delivering hype. I mean, if he says he wants to do this and this is his story, let's give it a shot. I don't know. Maybe we'll hate it, but I think it's worth giving a shot to. I think it's good news. And if you're going to go this way, maybe Anya's not my first choice, but she's a good choice. So let's see how this turns out. Question is for you guys. What do you make of this? The fact that they are moving ahead with this, but it's going to be a prequel with the origin story of Furiosa. And we didn't even talk much about Mateen II or Hemsworth being in there. I think that's great as well. What do you guys think about this? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.